WolfPunch.
Okay, Rocky Bullwinkle, I saw. Ren and Stimpy, no. Very hard line.
Was it forbidden in your family?
I like that you were going.
That was racist. Okay.
Racial. Or,
Was it though?
no,
That was
it
racist.
fine. Oh, fuck you. You tell people that I wasn't allowed to watch Harry Potter because I had a Christian childhood. That's not even true.
I never tell people
You
that.
say that all the time.
I don't remember saying that.
Yeah, and I'm like, then I have to explain. No,
You
I
did
just
have a Christian childhood.
I know, but
And
you
your
said...
parents didn't like Harry Potter.
No, they didn't care. They didn't care. I don't like Harry Potter.
He watched like so many R movies when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
Was where they drew the line.
What didn't they like?
Thou
to say something?
casteth the first stone and caught another one.
All right,
What
well,
did your Bible?
we are WolfPunch.
WolfPunch.
Were you recording?
I have been recording.
Oh.
This is a podcast,
It is.
and we're five dudes that discuss
Five
movies.
dudes talking. Sorry, I was gonna come up with like a song, but
We're already doing it.
okay.
Alright.
Anyway,
And I am Yevon.
So here's that good start that we wanted.
That's Kyle, who just said that bullshit. Dan,
Hi, what's up?
Michael Kemp.
Star of Dark Knight Rises.
I don't get that.
I don't
I
either.
was in it. I
And-
was in the.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
The Wayne Parmeter.
Zane the Wayne Farmer. I kind of like that.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, there's no reason not to. It's
Why
your name.
wouldn't
We're just calling Bruce Dane from now on.
Bruce Zane?
All right, we're not talking DC. Remember, Infinity War, not Justice League. That's the theme of today. And today we're talking about Infinity War, the big.
Wait, is one better than the other?
We're going to talk about that today.
Whoa!
You're here to find out, faithful listener.
That is so crazy. I didn't know that.
It is. It's crazy.
I feel like everyone already knows the answer to that. Though.
Well, it's in the title. Oh, no, I thought you meant what we were talking about. Anyway, so let's. Right, so Infinity War is Marvel's big crossover event, bringing together, like, it's the culmination of 10 years of movies, 19 films.
18. Because this is
18.
the 19th.
Well, okay, fine, it's the culmination of 18
No big
films
deal.
and itself. And yeah, 10 years in the making, they brought together the Guardians, the Avengers, all these other people that aren't Avengers yet, like Doctor Strange, all of them, they're in the movie.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, Peter Parker.
Such a child.
And yeah,
Gotta
so
contribute somehow.
it's an ambitious movie. It's something kind of unlike anything we've seen before. Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe
Straight up
is like
never has been done.
it's a new animal. It's a new thing that has come to movies the past 10 years, and now it's an established thing. And they brought it all together. And so, what do you guys think?
And no one's been able to recreate it.
No, people have been trying desperately to get their own extended universes off the ground.
And not one person has been able to do it.
No one does it alone.
Universal tried it with their monsters.
Like 3 times.
Yeah.
One movie, though. Really?
Well,
Right?
technically, too, Dracula.
Dracula.
They decided that
Oh.
didn't count after it bombed.
After the fact.
To be fair, didn't Marvel do the same thing with their Hulk movie?
No,
Or
no,
does
no.
that- no,
Because
Hulk is
Tony
still
Stark's
canon.
in that movie.
Oh, okay, so it's still canon.
It's just a recast.
They recast the Hulk. Okay.
Yeah. Just like they did Rhodey.
It's weird that no one ever mentions that one or talks about it.
Yeah,
No,
sucks.
they reference it a little bit.
I mean, when they find, in the first Avengers movie, when they find the Hulk, like, in Colombia or whatever, that's at the end of the Hulk movie. I don't know where
I
the
think
fuck he
I'm
is.
pretty sure that was India.
No.
It was South America somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not
regardless.
America, that's the point.
Yeah, exactly. Not the right America.
All right. Yeah.
Still
so,
counting on that wall, aren't you, Zane?
God damn. We went there. Okay. So anyway, Infinity War, does it live up to all the hype?
I
Do it.
think it meets the hype. It does not exceed the hype.
All
You're
right,
stupid,
Leslie.
it does.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's Andy Samberg and that's never mind. Parks and Recreation. Deep track. Keep going.
Well, I mean, I think part of what makes it so impressive, like Michael, you and I have talked about this a lot, was I mean, like we're both comic book guys, and it's like I can remember, like when nobody knew who Iron Man was,
Yeah.
when like nobody gave a shit, and so it's like it is impressive that Marvel has like taken characters like Thor or fucking Ant-Man and has been able to like make money off of these and make people give a shit. So it's like that's really, really impressive. And I don't know how much it lives up to the hype. it's hard to tell because like my mom wanted to go see it the other day. Like, she was like, "Do you want to go see this movie with me?" And I was like, "I've already watched it," but
and she hates Harry Potter.
Yeah, I couldn't be. I don't think my mom knows what that is. For the record, I
Your
don't
mom
think she-
doesn't know what Harry Potter
I think it's gone like right past her radar.
She is short. So.
Yeah, but like she wanted to go see this movie, and then afterwards I was like, "What did you think?" And like I'm pretty sure she was like, "I know who Iron Man and Spider-Man are." It's like I don't know who the rest of these.
She's like, I don't know who the fuck these people are.
But she enjoyed the movie, and I think that's
She
like,
doesn't know about the boy who lived. All right.
yeah, maybe I don't know.
Spider-Man's the boy who didn't. Oh, shit.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
This isn't going to be a spoiler-free podcast. Thanks, Zane, for
Yeah,
bracing everyone.
Anyway.
No, it's
It's
like,
fine. He's coming back.
but I think that people. When I was watching this movie for the second time, like I had my mom on one side of me, and then like a 3-year-old, 4-year-old little girl, and I was just thinking like.
So you were right at home.
I was like, yeah, this is
That was your date, your mom, or your 4-year-old?
Michael. Yikes!
Guys, we're not doing that.
You need to stop having a drink for podcasts.
Everybody else is fine.
Yeah, you get all liquored up and mean. But I was just thinking, like, what a weird movie this is, because it's like it doesn't really introduce or establish any of the characters beforehand. And now, granted, there's like
Because they already did that.
they did that with 18 movies beforehand.
Yeah. Mhm.
But it's like because this movie is such a big, colossal event, like everyone is going to see it, and so I just like noticed that like somebody like my mother or like a kid who wasn't even born when these movies started,
Yeah.
probably be like a little confused. You know, they're just
Little lost.
watching this thing, but I mean, it still seems to be entertaining people, so maybe they did succeed. Dan, what do you think?
It's interesting because I started off, like, I was really hype on comic book movies before the MCU kicked off. Like, I really liked Tom Jane,'s The Punisher, the Dark Knight trilogy. Well,
Mhm.
those started, Batman Begins started before, like, the MCU really got going. And this is definitely, like, a minority opinion, but I never liked the Iron Man movies at all. I thought they were really kind of just boring by them. That was, like, the first movie I saw where it's just like, I know everything that's going to happen, and I'm not engaged or interested. So for me, the MCU, I've always kind of thought of it as an unwanted pregnancy.
Mm.
Like,
Wow. That is.
it's like I didn't really want this. I don't like what it's doing. I don't like how this is changing like the landscape of blockbuster cinema for like superheroes.
Like children do.
That is colorful language.
Yeah, that's been done, but
We're gonna move past it. All
as
right.
time moves on, and it's like, oh, maybe this isn't so bad,
Sure, you have the kid and
Maybe
you're
we
like,
can make
okay.
this work. Maybe everything will be okay.
Someone to go fishing with.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, basically, I've been probably the last like 3 years or so. I think ever since Winter Soldier, like, because I've still seen almost every movie, like, somewhat begrudgingly, even with friends or dates or whatever. It was Winter Soldier that I was like, if this wasn't a Marvel movie, I'd really like this, but it's a Marvel movie, so it's just okay. So I've kind of like slowly been coming back around to them, and with this one, it's kind of gotten to the point where it's like, these are fun, these are enjoyable. It's like I would have enjoyed them a shitload more if I was a teenage kid who
Sure.
had the shit on a t-shirt and a lunchbox, but yeah, you said before, like, how it's never really been done before, and how it just does not give a flying fuck if you haven't seen, Avengers
Anything,
1, 2,
yeah.
Marvel, or any of that other crap. So it's really ambitious, and I've heard it compared to other movies, like, oddly enough, like Mad Max Fury Road, in the sense that it's just, like, go, 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 go style pacing. It's like,
Mhm.
once it starts, like, there's not much breathing room for, like, setting up other things.
Yeah.
Because there's a main character and plot arc for it that it focuses on that connects it all together, but while it's the focal point of the movie, it's more about, like, the spectacle and the action of everyone coming
Being
together
together, yeah.
and shit going crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Marvel also has like, because it's so jokey, it has like a nice way of like, if you're not a big nerd and you want to go watch these movies, like just brushing by the plot in a tongue-in-cheek way.
Yeah.
Like when Spider-Man comes in, he's like, "What's this guy's problem, Mr. Stark?" And he's like, "He's from space and he's trying to steal a necklace from a wizard." And it's like, there you go. That's technically what is happening.
Yeah, basically like those funny one-off lines, just kind of like dumb it down,
Yeah.
get some laughs, but also like inform people like, what the fuck am I watching? Like,
Yeah.
why does this guy have like 6 arms and floating around and shit? Like,
Yeah, if you're too cool to bother to find out what the fuck a Tesseract is, the movie will work around that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see like the comparison to Fury Road in that it's kind of like the movie kind of plays out like The Amazing Race, but I don't.
believe me, these
They
are like
all
very
lose.
like
Yeah.
superficial comparisons.
It definitely. I think you know that it's a very
Yeah.
superficial comparison. I
Yeah.
think that with something like Mad Max, the fact that they just go, it's part of the aesthetic. It's part of the fact that it's also a movie about a big chase. Like it's the structure and it's what's happening. Whereas with this, it's kind of like it's a little bit more because we have to do it this way.
Yeah.
Because we have so many characters. And in on one hand, I think that the movie is amazing in the way it juggles the amount of characters it has. And on the other hand, I'm left wondering, but does that matter? Like, did we need that? Because there's the structure of the movie is that it's fragmented. Like it's several different stories. Like there's here's Iron Man and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and here's the Avengers and Thor, and here's Thanos and Gamora, and here's I say the Avengers, the Guardians of Thor, and here so they kind of separate their characters, and so they're telling like different kind of interwoven stories, but not that interwoven. So it's really easy to like pick out. I like this story. I don't like this story, and so I think that's like kind of a compromise it makes for being so big. But at the same time, like you wonder like, would this be a better like movie? Like it wouldn't be as ambitious, but would it be a better movie if it just did some of these characters and did this story? Like
I don't know.
I mean, there's something to the ambition, but ambition just for its own sake, like, is that really good? Does that make it a better movie?
Well, I think that a big part of like the big draw for this movie is seeing characters that have never interacted before interact. Like I think that like the main reasons why people go to see this is like we want to see who's going to live and who's going to die and what it's going to be like for these people to hang out together. And I think that some of that, because it is so separated, some of that is really rewarding and some of it isn't. Like oddly enough, the main group of Avengers in this movie have like a really boring story and they don't interact with that many different people. Like
you mean Captain America?
Captain America and like Black Widow and the Falcon and all them. Like
gotta get that Falcon.
Is he an Avenger? Technically,
yeah, he became an Avenger by the end of Age of Ultron.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
How could you
Okay.
forget it?
Well, you know, I mean,
he's a Revenger. Let's go.
come on. Come on. I mean, he's basically on the playing field of Hawkeye and Black Widow.
So you would think that, but in this movie, like
I don't know if he's a hot guy. I mean,
whatever your preference is, Zane.
What's up? Anyway,
but I mean, like they have that part where like the Vision and Scarlet Witch are fighting the Goblin and the Goat Lady, and they get beat up by them.
the Goblin and the Goat.
Yeah, and then fucking Black Widow and the Falcon show up and kick their asses. And
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
wait a minute.
Yeah, hold on, guys.
The witch who can like manipulate reality.
Yeah,
And someone who is wielding an Infinity Stone
in their fucking brain
and can
like,
lift Thor's hammer, and it's like, no.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make any goddamn
It's
sense.
the guy with the bird wings and the bra with the guns.
God, you would have made a great Falcon.
I know.
How did they not cast you?
But I mean, I do think that like some of the fragmentation like it leads to some like so like the beginning of the movie I actually really like the very beginning like the kind of the prologue where we see like spoiler alert Loki dies, Thor and he's there with his escape ship from Asgard. And you have no idea how that started unless you saw Thor Ragnarok, but like all right, this guy he's killing these people and it's like okay. But then after that, I actually think it shows, to me it really showed like how redonkulous all of this was and how much there was too many characters and too much stuff. Like you see, Pepper Potts and Iron Man are walking through the park and then suddenly like, the Hulk is on Earth and he's like, Thanos is coming. Doctor Strange's like, who? It's like, and Thanos is like, Iron Man, we need you. An alien is coming to destroy them. It's like very Back to the Future, but not.
Whoa! Are you coming back to the future right now?
Terminator.
Okay.
Whoa, that's worse. No, Terminator rules.
It's just like a weird.
You've never seen Terminator. Shut up.
I've seen Terminator.
How have you not seen Terminator?
I've seen Terminator.
I hasn't.
Did you?
I have.
Were you in? Never mind. Good. Okay. Whatever.
I was more than in the room. I saw Terminator. Okay.
He never did.
I guarantee it didn't.
Okay. So
Continue.
what happened? So it gets at this point at the beginning where I think it happens too fast and there's too much. I think there's too much matter of factness to it. Like, yeah, it's funny when they say like, oh, he's an alien, he's trying to take a necklace from a wizard. Like, that's fun. But then when they're having like, Thanos is coming, and then it's like, oh, who's Thanos? And by the way, who are you? Oh, I'm a wizard. I'm Iron Man. Okay, well, Thanos is like, oh, I'm the Hulk. It's a little bit too much like utilitarian, straight to the point dialogue where characters aren't really developing.
So what you're saying, the movie wasn't long enough for you?
Yeah.
It
I think
could have been longer.
I think
for you.
That's what she said. I think.
You said it.
You just roast yourself.
I guess. I don't think there's anything wrong with women, so I guess you guys are the ones with the problem. Anyway, I just think that there's like, yes, it's impressive how it utilizes all these characters, but not so impressive that they got it perfect. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
No one's ever gonna
it
get
still feels ridiculous having
Yeah.
like how quickly all of this goes down. Like, and yeah, like you said earlier, like there's a goblin and a goat and a ghoul, and they're all and then Thanos is making
Gabagool.
right. There's the goat lady. There's the goblin dude. There's the Squidward ghoul guy, and then there's the troll.
There's the Hulk.
There's a troll, a goblin, a ghoul, and a goat. That's that's Thanos' entourage.
Awesome.
His gang.
Yeah.
And,
Or his children.
and Thanos
Right?
is just a big
Don't they call
purple
him
guy. Yeah, he's kids, whatever. Anyway, it's just so much.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. That's one of the things I like about the movie is that it just throws a lot of that shit to the side. Like, a lot of these superhero films, especially like origin stories and stuff, it's just retreading the same shit, introducing things, setting things up. Like, especially, this movie has the benefit of having 18 films before it, so it is able to just throw so much shit out the window and being like, yeah, sure, we could do this, but we want to get to the shit that people want to see.
And focus on the bad guy. That is the coolest part.
That
to me.
is like another thing too that this movie is really about. Like when you ask like who's the main focus of this film?
Yeah.
It's the villain.
Yeah.
So if you think about the movie in context from like other perspective, like if these were the bad guys doing these sort of things and not the heroes, you'd be like, well, you know, it'd be weird if they spent that much time fleshing them out. Not saying that this movie portrays the Avengers as the villains in any way, shape, or form, but the focus of the movie is it's Thanos' story.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, they did say going in that it's a Thanos story and it's a Thor story. But just to get back, the fact that it's like, yeah, well, it knows that you've seen these other movies, so it's getting that shit out of the way. That's kind of an interesting thing because they're deconstructing without getting overly intellectual. They're starting to deconstruct the medium of film, not in like a super smart way, but in a way where it's like just the fact.
sorry. You said Infinity War deconstructs the medium of film. I can't not fucking laugh at that.
I thought you were going to say deconstructs the meme for some reason.
By that I
And
mean
I was like, what meme?
That's
I guess
because
I'm
you're
not saying it-
stupid.
I'm
That's
saying
right.
it like deconstructs the medium in like a smart. I just mean like in the sense that suddenly we're almost treating it like it's a TV show. Like it's
It's kind of what these Marvel movies are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
the
not
show.
bullshit.
It's like I mean, at what point does that? I mean, like you take something like Sherlock. Like every 5 years, they release a season of 3 episodes, and each episode is like an hour.
An hour, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, are those movies? Are those shows? Like, what is that? And so, like with Infinity War, it's like 2 or 3 times a year we release a 2-hour episode of this big cinematic universe. It's like this movies. It's like a new kind of movies.
No, I hear what you're saying. I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's always something that's kind of bothered me about Marvel movies, but I have to give them credit for pulling it off, which, as we've mentioned, not a lot of people have since. Certainly not DC.
Certainly not.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mentioned DC, like comparing it to Justice League, like Thanos could have so easily been
What's his
what's
title?
his Steppenwolf. He could have, and I first saw him, I was like, oh, Steppenwolf, because like like.
They didn't establish him in any of the other films at all. He's just some.
He just
big
shows
purple
up.
douchebag.
Yeah,
who
I mean-
just says one thing or two.
You're talking about Steppenwolf or
Thanos.
Thanos.
Fuck Steppenwolf.
Thanos
I'm talking
does
about
show up
here.
He shows
He
up in
shows
an
up
after
with
credit
Sadie.
scene, and he does show up in Guardians.
Yeah, he
But
floats around in a
honestly,
chair for like 4 minutes.
Honestly, though, his
Like,
previous,
compelling character.
I'm gonna be honest, his previous appearances, actually, I thought it was like, oh, that's gonna be like important. Not important at all.
No.
Literally nothing about those like mattered to understanding the character because yeah, you could have imagined him as like a Steppenwolf type guy, and honestly, like not to shit on comic books, but the comic book version of Thanos to me feels like that kind of guy. He was like, I just want to get the Infinity Stones. By the way, I mean, we didn't even say the. All right. But by the way, like his goal is to like get the Infinity Gauntlet and destroy like half the universe, kill half the people. Now you could easily imagine that as like a mustache twirler type of villainy.
Yeah, like the Dark Elf.
Right, like Steppenwolf, where he's like, oh, I just want to remake the Earth in a so it's apocalyptic, so it's like everything is evil and there's lava everywhere. It looks like hell. Whereas with Thanos, like, I just want to destroy everything so that death will love me. And it's like a really weird,
No, that makes sense.
unrelatable.
Hey man, he's
Bro's
looking for
thirsty.
love.
How is that not relatable?
He's
man?
looking for love, and he's killing people in the
Get on
process.
Tinder. I don't know. Like,
he's like Todd from Wedding Crashers.
You see his fingers? How the fuck is he supposed to swipe right on that?
Dude.
death, you are my bitch lover.
Yeah.
That's good. But no, I like it better. They give him this weird, like, oh, I actually kill people randomly, and that way everything is better afterwards because resources. There's more resources for the people that are left. It sounds really crazy, but it's actually really pretty interesting. Like, Marvel's been getting better with their villains, and he's definitely on the better end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
They've done something that they have done with very few other Marvel villains, so that they gave him a relatable motivation in which you can actually understand it, and more so that he feels vindicated in a way that he thinks he's righteous and on like the proper path. Sure, he's a total psychopath that's just out for genocide, but you can understand why it makes sense to the character more than just being a mustache twirling twat.
Yeah.
But I remember when I first heard that the movie was going to mainly focus on Thanos, I was like, oh, that sucks. It's a stupid idea. Because like I've seen the trailers, and it was like, Josh Brolin is a big purple cartoon monster, and I don't want to have to watch that for the majority of a 3-hour movie. But he was actually a really cool character. Like,
Yeah.
I think, like, yeah, they do let you know, like, how and why this character feels justified. Like, his planet was sort of destroyed when he was trying to propose this idea before, and now he's trying to do it on a universal scale. And it's like the movie never tries to convince you that he's right, but
No, but they show you his point of view.
they show you his point of view and how he's not very hypocritical about it. Like, I mean, he's willing to make sacrifices of his own along the way.
Yeah.
So it's like, so that's part of what makes him an interesting villain. It's like,
Yeah, he's weirdly morally consistent.
yeah,
Like it's almost like they're channeling Stannis Baratheon a bit with his.
I can see that.
I mean,
with his lack of hair.
I mean, spoiler alert. Not
He loses his hair.
Spoiler alert. Thanos is bald. But also, no. But his idea, basically, it's like he's an arch utilitarian. He believes that like you can sacrifice some people's lives to make life better for other people, and that's like the best way that the people alive live better lives. And he does.
Nice speech, Michael Scott.
But I don't know what to tell
But
you.
I get your point.
No,
I hear what
So
you're
they
saying.
can live life for their lives.
so they can live life for good.
Never, for any reason,
Do anything.
do anything.
To anyone. For any reason.
Anytime.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Anyway. For any reason. Ever. Okay, so, but you know, they do have that scene where Thanos actually has to, like, sacrifice his daughter,
Yeah.
who he does actually love, and you see that. It's very clear, like, oh, he
Gamora.
actually... Gamora. It's Gamora of the Guardians of the Galaxy. He captures her, he gets her to show him where the Soul Stone is, and then Soul Stone's like, oh, Red Skull's there for some reason.
For no reason
And
at all.
then because the Tesseract sent him there.
But like, I mean, out of all the like weird cameos that they chose, it was like,
Hey,
let's bring back the villain you didn't give a shit about.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did you want them to use?
I feel like
Stan
they
Whiplash.
honestly, like, I'm not big on comp, but like I'm sure they have like a whole well of
Mickey
like,
Rourke just comes out with a little dog.
I'm sure they have an entire well of like Marvel cosmic characters that could have been guarding the Soul
Could have
Stone.
been
But
anyone. It could have been no one.
It could have
Okay,
been,
Should have been Howard the Duck. Just been like,
could have been like just a sign that said sacrifice.
Go this way.
Sacrifice thing you love, get Soul Stone.
Somebody just put up a sign.
Like an Acme
It's like yeah, exactly an Acme sign.
disregard females, obtain soul stone.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yikes.
Anyways, I actually think that my assumption on this is, like, you know, some people have heard of, like, a theory on the internet, like, towards the end of the movie, Thanos goes into, like, that orange space, and he's talking to
Yeah, little Gamora.
and they think that that's, like, the Soul Stone, and that, like, she's still a
In
part of
there.
that
Yeah.
because she was sacrificed for it, and it's
Yeah.
like, so I think Red Skull being there is kind of, like, just sort of showing the audience that these Infinity Stones are connected, and they, like,
Sure.
when you wield them, like, it does something to you. 'Cause
Sure.
like he had the space stone and it sent him to a different space in the universe. I don't know. So it's
I
comic
get it.
book.
It's like a
Yeah.
weird. It's funny
It
because it's
breaks
Red
down
Skull,
fast,
and Red
whatever.
Skull is kind of like a poster boy for shitty comic book villains.
Yeah.
Yeah. He could have been so
get
cool.
the same actor.
No, they didn't. Elrond stayed away from this one.
But I will. Okay, so I would be remiss if I didn't like bring this part up because I think this is interesting. I think there's like kind of a central theme of the movie that kind of revolves around like Thanos's. I know it's kind of getting a little bit high-minded for Marvel movies, but it does. There is a thing going on, I think, where Thanos' like moral center is this weird like sacrificial idea, like you can sacrifice some people for other people, and he really is morally consistent in that he goes for that and he thinks he's right. And then the Avengers throughout the movie present this like really alternate moral point of view, like all the characters do on some level. It kind of keeps coming up. Is this sort of idea of like Cap says that like we don't trade lives, and that's like a thing that they're almost consistent with. Like it's a thing that comes up with Gamora and Star-Lord, where she's like, if Thanos gets me, you have to kill me, and he's like, I don't want to do that. But then she almost gets him to do it, but then the Reality Stone's like, no, fuck that. Or Thanos makes him not able to do it. Anyway, but also
Bubbles.
also there's this running
Very good, Zach.
there's this running plot in the movie where they're like, oh, we have to sacrifice the Vision, and Scarlet Witch is like, no, I don't want to do that either, because she loves the Vision, and then the Vision's like, well, why can't I'll sacrifice myself, and Cap's like, nope, we don't do it, we don't trade lives.
And then he calls him out.
Yeah. He's like, look, you chode, you were going to do this in World War II. And then he was like, oh.
You were going to crash a plane that you don't own.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't your property.
But
And then-
no, guys, the Hulk was like, we can find another way, guys.
And then even in the
Shut up, Mark
even
Ruffalo.
but then even in the Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Spider-Man plot, there's a similar thing going on where a Doctor Strange verse is like, if we're going to take the fight to Thanos for some reason,
Yeah, we'll
then-
talk about that in a minute.
then
I'll let you and the little kid die to protect this rock.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then when he actually gets there at the end, he's seen the future and he says, actually, we're better off in the long run not trading lives. So I'm going to spare Iron Man because he can help more than if I were to sacrifice his life to save the Soul Stone. So it's like, I think the idea I think basically the point of the movie, probably the idea they're going to get to in like Infinity War Part 2 is that in the long run, you're better off like protecting each other and saving people and bullshit than being
fuck people.
than being a utilitarian
Bullshit.
and sacrificing some people for others. I don't know. I think that's the underlying like the. I know these movies aren't big on themes.
Yeah,
Well,
that makes
I don't
sense,
think
yeah.
that's the theme of the movie, but I think part of it too is just like the different philosophy that each of the characters have in this, because all these movies are vastly different from each other. You know, different writers, different directors, different hands in the pot, doing their own shit, and that's actually kind of something I enjoy about this movie, even if it is at the expense of it being tonally or thematically inconsistent. Is that, sure, Doctor Strange does have the whole thing. It's like, oh yeah, fuck you and this kid. Like, I'll throw you to the wolves if it means saving everyone. But it's more about, like, he has this vision where there's only the slimmest chance they can succeed, and it's kind of a comic book style master plan. It has to be this way.
Mm.
I'm not saving you because I think it's the right thing to do. I'm saving you because I think this will save everyone's ass later on.
Right. I mean, I definitely think the characters each present their own like moral, like their own philosophy, their own morality to things. But I think the movie, might be doing like a thing where it's trying to say that overall this way of doing things is better than that way of doing it. I'm not saying that it should do that. I just think that might be where the movie's going.
Well, that might be one of the interesting things about it, and we might not even be able to judge it until the next movie comes out, is that
probably not.
The next film might be them learning the lesson where they can't save everyone that they want to. They might have to trade lives to save everyone. So that might be what they have to deal with in the next one.
Honestly, that's genuinely true, and that might be where they go. It might be a thing where either they're going to validate Cap's idea of not trading lives, or not. I get the sense that someone is going to have to sacrifice themselves. Everyone thought Cap would die in this movie.
Yeah. Everybody thought Iron Man.
Yeah, I thought Iron Man was
I did too. I thought Iron Man was going to die. But anyway,
love RDJ.
Before moving on from this the one thing I will say is like probably the problematic thing is that when Cap's like, we don't trade lives, then later he sends out all of those. It's like we're not going to let you of your own free will sacrifice yourself. But we will send out all of these Wakandan people to like protect Wakanda from these like monsters.
But he's there too.
He's there too, yeah.
It's not like he's like standing in the background.
T'Challa was there and he was cool with it too.
Yeah.
He was like,
yeah, but and he's cool with it too. It's just like it's like kind of a
Captain America just wants to be the only martyr.
I agree. I think
that's definitely true.
That's the part. He's just like, how are we the only martyr? But like, he's totally cool with sending all these people out to die rather than letting this one guy sacrifice himself.
If he sacrifices himself in the next movie, that's going to be a real weird twist.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a twist, but it definitely makes him
a dick.
Yeah.
Super hypocritical. Like, I mean, just in
it's like he's so nice, it's annoying. You know what I mean? It's like he's so self-sacrificing, it's actually kind of annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of always been his character, though. From
Yeah.
the beginning. He's like the super Boy Scout who's always trying to do the right thing.
It used to be endeared, like me and Yas were talking about this the other day, where it's like Civil War is the movie where he just becomes intolerable.
I agree.
Like,
Cap sucks.
Like I don't mind him in like all the previous movies before Civil War, and then that's when I'm like, God, you're such a d-bag, man.
No, Civil War is weird because it's actually a Captain America movie. Yet it's only interesting because for me it was only interesting because of like the funniness of Spider-Man and Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And Tony Stark's like kind of like more emotional story arc.
Yeah.
And then T'Challa's like sort of like revenge and then not revenge story, which was like kind of stole the show.
Yeah.
But then you have Cap. It's like, what's he doing? Well, he's gonna defend Bucky.
Yeah.
Like we don't.
His
give a
best friend
shit.
was the biggest d-bag in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, but I mean, according to Tumblr, they're lovers, though, so it makes sense.
I don't give a shit. I hate him.
It would be better.
Wait,
if they
that's
were
really a
lovers.
thing on
Yeah.
Tumblr?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tumblr loves.
I didn't know that.
Tumblr?
Well, I know.
Dude, you
what
don't
the
know
fuck?
Tumblr?
I know what Tumblr is,
I
dumbass.
mean, I'm super hip.
Yeah, come on.
Don't get anything past Wayne.
Come on,
I know
uh,
Tumblr is.
Anyway, I drink out of one all the time.
Yeah. God, no laughs on that joke.
Yeah. Didn't eat 'em. Anyway,
Yeah.
Tumblrs.
I think a big problem with Civil War was like the boring part was Civil War is
Civil War.
Can't see your hand. It's a podcast.
Yeah, no one knows our gesture or the backstory behind
Oh yeah, I
it.
wish you could say. Wait, so every time someone says Civil War, we do like a karate chop.
The fuck did that become a thing?
It doesn't matter.
It's important.
Move on.
Keep going, Cap.
The big detriment was the Bucky Barnes Cap thing that they wanted us to care about, but no one did. And in this movie,
It's kind of there,
one
but it's
thing
not
was
really.
like a lot of it hinged on like
Scarlet Witch and the Vision.
us giving a shit about them, and I don't think anyone does.
How could you? Boring.
I agree.
I mean,
don't give a shit
Elizabeth
about
Olsen's
that either.
hot, and I feel bad that she might have to kill her battery-powered boyfriends.
I don't even think she. I mean, that doesn't matter.
It definitely does.
No, it doesn't.
Very
No, I don't care. It's like don't. Are
You just called the Vision a vibrator.
Oh, I thought that was obvious. I thought that was
That was
clearly what I was
awesome.
going for.
I loved it.
I was just watching, waiting for Zane to get it. And then, it was beautiful.
Oh man.
I don't know. I definitely think that's a relationship that didn't land. Like no one gives a shit.
And they made it a really important part of this movie. And I feel
It's
like
like-
that's something.
Obviously, in the next movie, the big relationship's gonna be like Black Widow and Hulk. I think they're
Which I feel like that was
they
a
like
stronger
barely
relationship.
they barely touched that, and I didn't care about that one every year.
I didn't either,
I
but
hate
it was
Black
still
Widow.
stronger than
But
Vision.
they barely touch it in this movie, and I feel like next movie they're going to go back. I was like, why not just do that over 2 movies instead of doing both of these?
Probably comes down to wanting to give every character their moment to shine.
Yeah,
Probably. It just,
definitely.
but to me, that might be a weakness of the movie. Is like trying too hard to give every character a moment to shine. Makes some of those moments
Well,
a
they
little
have
bit
to
dull.
give the characters something. I mean, this is what it's been building towards.
Yeah.
The expectations for that are built into it. If you don't do that, or at least make an attempt to try and do that, like it's going to be discking.
But
to
that's
a lot of
that might be a place where I think expectations sort of kind of ruin just standard writing.
Well,
Like
see,
a good
I
plot.
don't think that it's necessarily wrong per se. Where like Vision is a character that's kind of been sidebarred in so many movies. Where like in Age of Ultron, he shows up at the end and you think, wow, this guy is going to be a huge deal. He's like created by like 2 of the smartest people in this universe and a really smart evil robot, and he's Jarvis, and he's got an Infinity Stone in his brain. You're like, oh, and he can lift Thor's hammer, and he can fly, and he's probably really cool. And then you watch Civil War, and it's like, dude sucks. And then, so like he obviously like has to die in this movie because
he
he's
does.
he's
Spoiler
gotta get-
alert, he dies.
because we all know going into it, like they don't even hide it on the trailer. Like people are going to try and get that stone out of his head.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they want to develop him as a character. It's just didn't work because he spends 90% of this movie with somebody stabbing him in the back.
Oh yeah, dude, he
And
gets
like,
stabbed so much.
He gets stabbed with his like a fucking pincushion, and he's just laying around.
it's like he doesn't
really
have
hard.
an Infinity Stone in this.
Yeah,
fucking
like
head.
he's just.
Maybe the real message of the movie is that women make you weak and you need to. I mean, that's what Thanos had to overcome. I mean, after he fell in love with the Scarlet Witch, he was no longer an avid fighter.
It's true. Became useless.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's a very sexist movie.
There's your underlying
Yikes.
theme.
Women make you weep.
White beards everywhere
Did you
cheering.
say weep or weak?
No,
I thought he
weep.
said we.
Women
He
make
does
you
pee at the
weep.
sight of them. He gets so excited.
I've had to change my pants so many times.
Why don't
So-
you just get Depends?
While Cap while Cap sucked, I do think a special shout out to my buddy Thor.
Your buddy.
Yeah,
I'm
he
the
sucked
only one
even
that
more.
stuck through him with him.
I stuck it through it.
Hell yeah. Stuck with him through Thor 2. I don't want to hear.
All right, I want to hear about how you stuck through Thor.
I bet you were pretty Thor after that too.
No,
Thor.
Thor 1 and 2 are terrible, especially 2.
No.
But
Good
Thor,
movies.
I mean, I will say that it's kind of a cool thing to me when they can make me care about a character just by shoving them in my face constantly. Like kind of like earlier you were talking about how like, oh, it's cool that people care about Iron Man, Captain America, and Hulk now. I'm like, it's all right.
I didn't
but-
say it was cool. I said it was impressive.
yeah, you can say it's impressive, but really they just threw money at that, and I'm okay. I mean, not to discount, RDJ did a good job with it.
Oh, that's debatable.
We'll get there. But
We'll get there.
I think the thing that I'm kind of glad about is they finally made Thor work, because Thor's always been a guy in bad movies, but he's always been like a fun character. But whenever,
Well, it's funny because you look at the other Avengers movies and he's sidelined so much.
Yeah,
So little to
exactly.
do,
Yeah.
and
He's
they actually
constantly
give a shit.
sidelined.
He's a
And-
fucking god.
well, I'm not necessarily just that, but like in Avengers 1, the villain is his brother, and yet he's like barely doing anything, and it's just like, oh, he's there to like. Just it's almost like he's there because he has to be, but
Yeah.
no, it's really about
Contractually obligated.
yeah, it's there. It's about other characters. This is the first time they like did a big Avengers movie, and Thor works. He's kind of like the center of it. Now, we're not the center is Thanos, but the people who made the movie, I don't know who it is. The Russo
They
brothers.
gave him
brothers.
definitely
Yeah.
more time.
They said that like this was a movie big on Thanos and Thor, and I think that worked. And part of that I think is they put him with the Guardians.
Yeah, that helped a lot. That was some of the best stuff in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the best stuff was the Guardians, who are pretty great in this movie. I
Yeah, they
expected to be really out on them after Guardians.
We'll talk
2.
about that in a minute.
But I mean, it goes along with Thor. Like you kind of expected these Guardians to just like not fit in, and expected to be like, oh, we're gonna bring their wackiness, but it actually does work. I really enjoy this whole thing where Star-Lord is jealous of Thor and
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to imitate him.
It's really
Some of
funny.
the best comedy material in the movie. And yeah, Thor I think he has a good, I mean, I know there's some disagreement on this. I think he has a good hero's journey arc in this movie. I think they establish kind of like how he feels that he's failed in one way. I feels he's got nothing to lose, but he's still pushing through. I honestly think it might have been a good movie to kill Thor off. It might have been a good movie to kill Thor at the end, just because I think he's had a good arc, and I hope that in the next movie they're not just gonna like sideline him again.
Yeah, I hope not.
No.
Like if Thor had died at the end of this movie, I'd be like, yeah, that was good. That was a good last hurrah for Thor. Whereas if he dies in the next movie, I don't know if we'll care.
Yeah, I hope that he's like I was never a fan of like the Thor movies. I didn't even like care for Thor in the Avengers movies. I didn't really start liking him until Ragnarok, and it's impressive that like one of my least favorite characters is one of my favorites now. Like that's the coolest he's ever been. It's in this movie.
Yeah.
He's really enjoyable, but I think now that this is a good time to talk about how characters fit into this movie and how their previously established arcs carry over.
Yeah, that's one of the big things, which is just kind of unavoidable with the whole setup of these films and how they lead into another. Like, yes, absolutely, Thor is the one Avenger, like, good guy that has a clearly defined arc in this film, who has growth and, like you said, goes on a hero's journey. But I hate the fact that it's not even like a year after Ragnarok that this happens, and it feels like it just undermines so much that happened at the end of that movie, to the point where it just kind of make it feels moot right now. Like a lot of the main things that came to a head in Ragnarok was, oh, you're not the god of hammers, you're the god of lightning, and how he learned to focus his power and not need, like, for lack of a better term, a MacGuffin or some weapon to define who he was. He was strong on his own. And yes, this movie takes away his people, devastates him, takes away his brother, but it still comes down to you need a magical weapon to defeat the bad guy. And I get how it serves the plot, but it doesn't resonate with me past the fact that it's just there to progress the plot.
We've disagreed on this, but
Yeah.
I mean, all I'll say is that for me, the Ragnarok plot was never about not needing a weapon or learning to fight without a weapon. I think it was just about learning who he was independently of that, and I think in this movie it was like he constructed the weapon himself, so it serves as more of an extension of himself as opposed to something that was handed down to him. But different
I think
different strokes.
Thor has. I feel like a big part of every one of his stories is like some big loss that he's got to recover from. Like, kind of tired of seeing that, but it actually worked pretty well in this movie for me. The only part that I really like dipped out on was like seeing him like open the gate for like
When
the
he-
star to
When he was like holding the door,
yeah.
and Peter Dinklage yelled, "Hold the door."
Yeah, that whole
By the way,
sequence,
Peter Dinklage plays a giant
dwarf.
dwarf. That's right.
Yeah.
That whole sequence is just like a little.
By the way, we weren't making fun of. He's a giant dwarf. It's not.
It's fine. They've seen the movie, and if they haven't, they will, and you're fine. But it's just that whole sequence doesn't work super well for me. It's a little boring. It's a little ridiculous, and it's also like sandwiched in like while other events are happening that are like.
Yeah, what was
Yeah,
going
it's
on
really
there?
Yeah, no,
jarring.
I liked it. I thought it was fine.
I know,
but it is.
I enjoyed it too. It was whatever. It
I
was
mean,
cool.
Groot was there.
It was
I like
fine.
Rocket. I think that was. I guess maybe it's because those are the best. For me, those are some of the best characters. I really liked Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, I did too.
I really liked Thor. Peter Dinklage is fun.
Tree was great.
I just feel like there was a lot. I could be wrong, but I feel like a lot was going on around the time that was occurring. So it was kind of like a lull in between a bunch of actions.
Yeah, I think they were like fighting Thanos
Yeah.
on Titan.
They were fighting Thanos on Titan, and they were fighting his army in Wakanda.
I
While
hated the Wakanda story.
Thor was standing in front of a star laser to make hammers.
And I think
I'll
that
be honest, but
the
that was my
idea-
favorite one of those three things.
I'm assuming the idea behind it was like them trying to build up to like, oh, Thor's got to get this weapon so he can beat Thanos, and you see like the bad stuff that's happening to all his friends, but it was just kind of just dull and boring for me.
Yeah.
It didn't
Personally,
really-
honestly, I think I don't know what they have in store for the next one, the second part.
Come on, man.
Honestly, I feel like if I
Fantastic.
could rewrite that movie, I would bring Thor in, have him fight Thanos in that movie, and kill him off maybe, because I think it was
Kill
a
off.
good, kill off
Thor.
But don't you
yeah.
think if Thor died, that would kind of undermine his whole?
I think if he accomplished something, I guess.
Yeah, I guess-
The point. No, never mind. The point of the movie is they have to lose, so maybe not.
No. Thor.
Well,
Thor
if he
actually-
died, they would lose anyway, right?
No, I mean, the thing is, like, he couldn't accomplish anything because he'd have to.
Kill
Yeah,
Thanos, and
yeah.
there wouldn't be a second.
Anyway,
Either way, once he gets to Earth, dude rules. Like he is destroying motherfuckers.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
actually really sweet.
It's tight.
It's a nice like. Sorry, I'm getting all broy.
You are.
But it was tight.
he
Anyway,
punches everyone so hard.
yeah.
Actually, no, he has an axe.
He uses an axe. You stupid fuck.
Nice.
Did you even watch the movie? Anyway,
Enlightening,
so yeah, and like
It wasn't lightning.
because he's the god of thunder,
yeah,
and he uses lightning.
yeah.
Yeah.
He looks sweet though. It looks cool when he does it. Anyway,
He's like a pirate made love
And
to an angel.
yeah.
Why
Which
does
is-
Drax know what a pirate is?
I don't know. Drax is great though.
What do you think the fucking Ravagers are? They're like space pirates.
Yeah, but like, why does he know the word pirate?
I don't know. There's no the language.
That's what you're gonna put.
Why does
you're gonna
Thanos speak?
This is where this movie falls apart, guys.
Unrealistic.
Drax's knowledge
Sad.
of pirates.
You're okay
I will
with
say-
a tree that says 3 words.
Yes, because that's
But it
all he
means
knows.
something else
That's
every
all
time.
he knows.
Drax was the funniest one.
Easily.
He was great in this movie.
That was so.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Guardians. They're
they're dope.
actually pretty great in this movie. I like them all a lot. It's a little weird. They have a pretty big portion of the story, especially Gamora, and these are like big Guardians moments that have sort of been building up through their own
Their own movies.
trilogy.
Yeah.
So it's a little weird, like
Resolving it in a non-Guardian.
in a non-Guardians movie where like it's a big like B plot in this movie. You know what I mean? It's not super prominent. Like I remember like Chris Pratt like described his role before this movie came out as basically like a cameo, which isn't true per se.
No.
That's
It's
it's
a
an
big role.
exaggeration. But I kind of understand how they could feel that way. Like the Guardians are definite guest stars in this, except
You
for
know,
Gamora.
I don't know that I agree with that. I definitely think that you might. I don't know. I think that the Guardians are. What I expected going in was that they were going to use the Guardians as a unit, like Thor and the Guardians, so they were all just one character. But actually, the Guardians are split up, and
Yeah.
each one of them has their own. Like
Yeah, I was glad
Star,
they did that.
Star-Lord
Yeah, same.
goes with Iron Man.
Well, he meets up
Star-Lord and
with
Drax. He meets up with Iron Man. Rocket and Groot go with Thor, and then Gamora is with Thanos. So
Yeah.
Gamora really has her own story. Her and Nebula.
Yeah.
Star-Lord really does have his own story. Like
Yeah, he
where
does.
he kind of has to deal with like losing Gamora. And then Rocket and Groot, the thing is they're always kind of in supporting roles anyway. Like in Guardians 2 and Guardians 1, it's always kind of more of a supporting.
It was nice that they got more. I felt like they got more of the spotlight this time around than the other people did.
At least more
I
than
think so,
Peter
too.
Quill. And,
Yeah.
Like if you want to talk
Which
about
was
something-
awesome. I thought that was
if
nice.
you want to talk about characters that didn't really get much of roles, like Black Panther, not much of anything.
Kind of sidelined.
Very sidelined. Kind of a
Sweet.
letdown
Yeah.
after how like hype everyone was about Black Panther. They didn't like.
But I think that was.
Yeah, they-
I know
like,
they didn't know, but
yeah,
it just.
because I mean,
it
Black
just-
Panther is still in theaters right now.
I know. It's not. It's not saying they should have known. They didn't know, and you kind of. It's a bummer, like in a meta level, and then Cap, like Black
Cap was
Widow,
barely
all
in.
those
But-
people, like the Team Cap is just
But
kind
those
of
guys are
a turd
all-
out there.
Yeah.
They're all still alive after the snap. So,
Yeah, I know.
That's
The snap.
That's what they call it.
NBC's The Snap.
Sure. Yeah.
That was a joke about NBC's The Slap,
Sure.
a 6-episode miniseries about a kid that gets slapped and how it causes the family to fall apart.
Cool.
Wow, thanks for
Yeah,
taking this
please cut
podcast
that.
up. Anyway, no.
You guys didn't see The Slap. The Slap is fine.
For the record, I saw the slap.
I know you saw
I
The Slap.
saw the slap.
More like the crap, am I right? Bad show. Anyway.
Yeah. So I think that they gave a lot of people their moments. Spider-Man had a couple.
Spider-Man was my favorite part.
Drax had his moments. Everybody had their little moments in the movie, and the next movie is going to focus on those core Avengers because it's their last hurrah.
Their contracts.
Yep. So
That's the name of the new movie, actually. The
I'm gonna-
contracts are.
All right, so Mike, you brought up Spider-Man, and now you're talking about Spider-Man's spoiler alert death scene. Let's talk about death. Let's talk about
Do we want to?
she's a foxy lady.
Yeah.
no. Let's talk about characters dying. A big draw with this movie was which characters are going to die, who's going to sacrifice himself. A lot of people thought it would be Cap. A few of us thought it would be Iron Man. I thought it was going to be Iron Man going in.
So
I thought it should be Iron
Some
Man
of us
because
hopes.
Cap. Because I think Cap sacrificing himself something we all know he'd do, and it's like kind of typical. And so I thought maybe this would be RDJ's big
Final bound.
big final hurrah.
Yeah.
Last
They even
hurrah.
tease you with it for a minute.
Yeah, and for a minute they make it seem like, oh, that's what's going to happen because Thanos is just, he's about to kill him. But Doctor Strange hands him the time stone and he sacrifices Tony Stark's life. But
Well,
so
no,
what
the
the
opposite of that.
Spares is like.
spared? I don't know. It's been a long day. So at the end of the movie, there's the snap, and the snap kills
Half
half the universe, which includes half the characters.
That was more than half the characters in that one, but yeah.
Yeah, but
There's a lot of fucking people.
Black Panther, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Star-Lord,
Bucky.
Bucky Barnes, thank
War
God.
Machine, almost all the Guardians.
War Machine.
War Machine lives.
Wait,
Falcon.
Yeah, he's
Falcon.
Which is disappointing because I'm just gonna throw that out there. They had it could have been a really cool death for War Machine when Thanos is throwing everybody and beating them up, and he just sort of starts crushing the War Machine suit on Rhodey.
Yeah.
And I was like, that would have been sweet if he would have just crushed it into a ball, right?
you know what would have been really sweet if he's if his legs started evaporating, he'd be like, guys, my legs, and they're like, we know you're crippled.
Yeah.
He's like, no, guys, seriously.
Yikes.
We can't do those rubber pants. What do you want?
Basically, it's left with the Phase 1 heroes still alive.
Yeah.
For the most part.
The
And
original
a couple others.
And Rocket Raccoon.
Rocket Raccoon, Nebula,
And then the Phase 1 character.
And Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
and Captain Marvel's going to be there. Yeah, there's even after
Shut
credit
up.
sequence. And
You look so happy with yourself
I
for remembering.
Brie Larson, it's going to be
Can't
great.
wait.
Yeah.
All right, so there's even an after credit sequence where Samuel L. Jackson and Robin Scherbatsky die.
They die.
But we call it Captain Marvel.
No.
They paged Captain
Yeah, they
Marvel.
paid sure.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, how do you guys feel about the way the movie, did it live up to the hype regarding death?
No.
I mean, no, somebody should have died, obviously, but
Well, to be
Gamora
fair,
died.
Loki and Gamora died. But,
Yeah, but,
Gamora's going to be back.
the
And I have
fucking
a feeling
people-
Loki will reincarnate because that's how gods work.
Sure, that's fine.
But
They're not
Not
doing
my
Kid
God.
Loki. Get over
they're
it.
gonna do Kid Loki. It's
They
gonna be
will,
real sweet.
honestly. If they're casting a new kid, I mean, they.
Why not?
Who gives a shit? Fuck Loki. Anyway. No, I think this movie is a little disappointing as far as death goes.
because obviously you love death.
I love death. You know this.
This is the
Everyone
regular
knows this about
comic
me.
book Thanos.
Yeah. That's what they call me.
No, they don't.
No one
Well,
does.
it is part one of a two-part series.
Oh, it is?
Yes. Spoiler alert.
It didn't feel set up
It
for a
is.
sequel at the end of that. I didn't notice.
So I mean, I have a feeling that some real deaths will probably happen in the second one. I think this was just like a taste of death,
Mm-hmm.
where we got
Yeah.
like those two
Well, okay,
big
here's,
ones, and then everything.
Like your
else
whistle
is
with
like-
this one.
here's part of why that's a little disappointing to me. Is because you're right, number one draw for this movie is who's gonna die. Number two is all these heroes together, we get to see what it's like to have them interact.
Yeah.
When you kill off all of the new characters, that leaves the setup for the next movie is watching a bunch of the characters that you've seen before. And I totally understand that they want to utilize the actors whose contracts are up.
Yeah.
They're going to end the stories of a lot of characters that have been going on since 2008. And Iron Man and Cap have really been the main characters of this universe to begin with, so they have to
Iron
have a
Man
big
more so.
focus. Yeah, Iron Man more so.
But yeah,
But you gotta have substantial screen time with them. I just wish that there were a few more new characters around instead of it just being the
No.
core Avengers team
I totally agree with that.
and Rocket Raccoon.
Well,
and War Machine.
One big thing that bugged me was Peter Quill's disappearance.
Yeah,
I feel like that
that's
would be a very important story for the next movie.
that's the number one character that I wish
And
carried over.
I'm not even a big fan of Peter Quill, but I feel like that's an important story to explore.
Nice scoff.
Zane's wounded.
I am wounded.
What were you gonna say?
It's a
Zane?
Frasier reference.
I know.
I was gonna say I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for a second, and I feel like it would have been too obvious if Cap or Iron Man sacrificed themselves. So that's what basically everyone was expecting,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I don't like the fact that they're probably just gonna retcon 98% of the deaths in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you bring in like the bullshit with like the time stone, the reality stone, you can just write yourself whatever you really
Yes.
want at that point. It's kind of like the whole Gandalf thing. It's like, oh, he died, but he's back and he's cool now. And it just demeans the whole sacrifice.
He was
and
always cool, but I see your point.
things like that. But anyways, like I like that I didn't expect them to do that when I was watching it. I was like, oh, okay, so like they're gonna get the stone from Vision and then destroy it, and then Thor comes in and saves the day. And I was kind of like, okay. And then the next movie it'll set something else up. But they didn't. They went and just full on like wiped everything. And I liked that Thanos won.
I did too.
I like that a lot.
I agree that I like the thing. And honestly, if they hadn't gotten this, like if Thanos hadn't gotten the complete Infinity Gauntlet at the end, that would be kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But I just Thanos winning is fine. It's just that I wish there was like real deaths.
Same.
But there's
I
also
the problem
aspects-
with these. Anyway, I've been seeing memes that say like, "Oh, end of Infinity War got me shook,"
Yeah.
but I'm
I've
like,
seen a ton of
really, like they no one died.
Yeah,
Like,
but here's the thing. Okay.
Oof.
Oh, the comic book nerd in me has had enough. Okay. There have been like
The gloves are coming off.
there have been literally 1,000 issues of Action Comics
Mhm.
as we sit here now.
That's
People have
one.
been reading these heroes, and there have been many deaths.
Are you throwing down the gauntlet? right
Yeah.
now?
He's throwing down the Infinity Gauntlet.
And it's the stories. It's not the fact that they're dying and that, oh, I know they'll come back. But it's the stories that you're reading, the self-contained stories. Like, yes, they'll come back, but the feeling that you're feeling in that moment is real and it's there. Like, when Spider-Man died, like, I was fucking crying. Like, they made me feel that.
Nice, Kevin Smith.
Like,
Straight up, I felt
No,
real
it's
bummed
true.
too.
Well, you two
Like,
have like Spider-Man
people can
boners.
feel shit,
Bro.
Like,
I get
it doesn't matter that they're really dying.
Here's-
In that moment, they made you believe it.
I don't know. I didn't.
You guys are fucking cynics.
Maybe.
Not me.
I'm pointing that.
It's these three guys.
But hey,
These fucking
I guess
idiots.
it's like Spider-Man dies after we see Black Panther die, after we see Star-Lord die. It's like we know those guys are getting more movies, so now we officially know that, all right, everyone dying here isn't really dead.
Yeah.
They're coming back. And
But it still doesn't make it any less fucking sad.
it's different. But it's different when it's like at the end of a story. Like for example, like, all right, let me give you a play. You'll like this.
Yeah.
Kyle will like this. The end of Logan. At the end of Logan.
Are we gonna spoil Logan?
Again?
Spoilers for Logan. At the end of Logan, Wolverine fucking dies. And it's what that whole story builds up to, and it's a really sad and touching moment, and then his daughter gives a eulogy for him at the end. And that
You cried then too, Michael.
yeah, and that, but
It
you
was
see,
sad.
that entire movie was structured around ending that character's story and sending him off and having
Yeah.
him die in a fitting way. And
Mhm.
even though
And you know
that character, even though we know that eventually they're going to make another Wolverine movie, we know eventually they're going to do more Wolverine. It'll be a different Wolverine, a different guy playing him, and it'll be later. It's like it's the end of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Also, it's the end of this story.
It's the end of the
Yeah,
Wolverine
Whereas,
grew up.
exactly.
whereas with this, in the second part of this movie, it's like a two-part movie. In the second part of this movie, the same guy playing Spider-Man is going to come back and be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, hey, Mr. Stark, I'm back."
And you know what happened?
Stark's
not,
gonna be
that,
dead.
not that long ago, around the time Logan came out, they killed Wolverine in the comics. And unlike actors, it's the same fucking character. It's not a different actor.
But I didn't cry
So, you
when
know
that
what?
happened.
But people,
I
I'm
didn't
sure,
read it.
did. I'm sure people did. And then you know what? Now he's back. And I'm sure people are glad to see him back. And they probably will kill him again eventually.
But those people probably
And
didn't.
people, Like
I don't
that's
know.
the way stories work. Like it's
That's
it's
right.
an emotional
I understand.
moment.
I
It's
understand
the
what you're
emotion
saying.
of the moment. That's how superheroes and comic books work.
A lot of it comes from your investment in the characters itself, but another reading that I've heard that actually makes a lot of sense is even though it's not real, quote unquote, for us because we know contracts and other movie setup and stuff, it's real for the characters in the moment. It's
Yeah.
like looking. I mean, I don't like Robert Downey Jr., but like his expression on his face when Peter Parker is just disintegrating, it's like that's real. Like
right.
yeah,
that,
like
that
the
is
emotions
real,
there.
and I think that can work. It's just that it's muddled by all this other shit that we know.
Yeah, for the record, like I don't think that's a bad scene.
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything.
And I don't think it's a bad premise to have all these characters dealing with the fact that they've lost
No, neither do
half
I.
the universe and half of their friends. That's not a bad premise. It's just that once you know how
It doesn't have
safe
as much of an
everyone is.
impact as I'm glad that Robert Downey Jr. didn't die in this movie because I want him to have more screen time in his last movie and more of an arc.
Mhm.
But
Well, the arc reactor was in his.
no, he got the surgery. But once that character is gone, regardless of how some of us feel about him, there's more of a sense of finality where it's like, hey, he's gonna go do other things. Robert Downey Jr. is, so this character is done, and then it's like that's the last you see of that. So it's like I'm not trying to undermine your feelings on Spider-Man dying. It's just I don't share them or agree with them. And it's like I totally agree. Of like I like that Thanos won in the end. I like that half of these characters die, and I like that that's something that the characters have to deal with in the next movie. And I get how like like a 9-year-old like viewer or like. Actually, like the little girl I was sitting next to, I don't think she gave a shit. I get how like kids could be like, "Oh fuck, like these heroes are dead" because they don't see all these articles on the internet about like Black Panther 2 already announced, Guardians 3 filming soon. Where it's like, yeah, no, they're fine, they'll be back. It's just my biggest hang up with the deaths in this movie is just because you killed off all the characters that you're still going to be able to use,
Yeah.
and it's like.
See, and that does bother me too. Like I do want to see more
Yeah.
interaction.
Would you rather them kill off all the old characters
No,
and then
no.
bring them back?
No,
Well,
honestly, a
50-50.
big change for me is if you just would have left, honestly, Star-Lord, I think is a really good choice, somebody to leave alive,
Yeah.
because now, like, Iron Man is stranded on Titan with Nebula, and it's like, I think he would have been a good third character where, like, Rocket is a side character. I love Rocket, I'm glad that he's still alive, but he's a constant, like, side character. So it's basically going to be watching all of the Avengers that you've seen hang out together before, but Rocket will make snide comments in the background. And it's like, I want to see another main character interacting with main characters. I think that, like, he has a story arc that was introduced in this movie that could carry over into the next. He's just one of the ones that I think, just have another main character.
Yeah.
Him or, like, Black Panther or somebody that's not going to go into the sidelines in the next movie.
I'm a little iffy on that because like I understand your argument there, but like with each of these like characters that could have come back or they could have survived, each of these main characters, which are like Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Star-Lord. There's like the 4 like leading men
Yeah.
who are gonna have more movies, but they're not gonna be in this one. I think with Black Panther, like it's kind of a bummer to see Black Panther just not get to be part of the universe, especially after like
He didn't have a big role in this
the big
movie.
reception. You didn't have a big role in this one, and the big reception of the Black Panther movie. At the same time, I'm actually not super interested in seeing Black Panther play with the other Avengers. I actually think to me, Black Panther is kind of bigger than that. I think his stories are smarter, and I don't really want to see him fight Big Purple Thanos. I think Doctor Strange kind of sucks. I think he's.
I just wish it was John Hamm.
He should have been John
He
Hamm.
really should have been John
He
Hamm.
should have been John Hamm would do so much better with all of this material.
Also, I'm going to say, having watched this movie twice, while I don't hate Doctor Strange as much as you do, that character would work so much better to me if you just eliminated all the humor that you put into it.
Yeah, I don't like his quick.
Like-
Also, he looks
They need a
ridiculous.
straight man in this fucking
Yeah.
universe really bad.
Well, there's a lot of straight men, and they need a straight man. Get it?
No.
Wah, wah.
Jesus.
I'm not good at jokes. I'm the Doctor Strange of the group.
Yeah. I hated the, like, he's like, I'm the protector of your reality douchebag, and I'm like,
Yeah.
ugh.
That didn't land.
So you think
douchebag
Ham would have
one.
landed that better?
John Hamm.
John Hamm. Oh yeah, John Hamm. Okay, I'm actually.
John Hamm was good in fucking Sucker Punch. And that
Yeah.
movie's shit.
Yeah.
I'm not. John
Hamm was good in Keeping Up with the Joneses. And that movie's shit.
Why did you say that?
Because John Hamm.
What is wrong with you?
It was my choice.
And Isla Fisher plays.
It was my choice.
It was not my choice.
Isla Fisher plays like a homely housewife. It's really dumb. But no, John Hamm. Those lines are dumb. John Hamm could have landed like every single one of them.
Man's a modern day saint.
No, he is not. Anyway,
he's
go ahead.
He's a good actor.
The Marvel Universe
but
is
then
like a
also-
good sandwich. It needs more ham. John Hamm!
But no, he is good in like kind of schlocky, goofy stuff. Like he's great in Baby Driver.
Yeah, he's good at being funny.
He's great. He's good
Is
in
he
like.
great in Baby Driver?
He's great in Baby
Yeah.
Driver.
He is great at Baby Driver.
It's like the best one.
Any guys?
I don't know.
Any guys? Anyway.
Anyways,
This isn't the John Hamm hour.
but it could.
You can find that later.
Next episode, join us again for John Hamm's filmography.
But yeah, and then we come back to like those characters. Like I can see the value in them. I can see the value of like having like a Doctor Strange type character in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I don't like him, and then I can see the value of having a Black Panther. But then again, it's like I think he doesn't need to be in this. And then you have to like Star-Lord. I see it, but I almost feel like he needs too much time, and I don't enjoy that character in a serious vengeful, like him getting revenge isn't that fun to me. I like him.
I care about Drax getting revenge more than I care about Peter.
Drax is a character I would have liked.
Okay,
that.
look at this. Like, God.
But then let me just finish the group. Like,
Yeah.
and then there's Spider-Man, who I actually thought that Spider would be like the main guy to come back because I thought it would be good to like have Spider-Man sort of like be in the part 4 and sort of be part of like I don't know, kind of like learning the ropes and kind of like taking over like.
He's got to be there for when Tony goes away or
Yeah,
dies.
I thought it would be a kind of a
right?
good
Passing the mantle.
passing of the torch.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
it would be good if he was like there.
Yeah.
Carrying the torch with them for a little while. But it's fine. I think the movie has some sort of structure around that. Instead, they have this, like, finishing the ones who have their contracts. And I have mixed feelings about that. In some ways, it's good. In other ways, I fucking hate Black Widow. And I don't care about War Machine. Black Widow is the worst.
Because she's a woman.
Well,
Sexist.
Winter Soldier's the worst, but
Yeah, calm down.
Yeah.
You're getting way
Winter
heated
Soldier's
over
the worst.
Black
Over-
Widow sucks, guys.
But
She's just not
more
good.
than Bucky.
No, not more than Bucky.
But the way that you're acting, it sounds like she is.
Okay, but like Bucky's dead for a little while. Now let me harp on Black Widow. Like, she's not a good character. She's just Marvel's way of being like, oh, we didn't write a woman superhero, and we waited like 11 years to do Captain Marvel, so let's pretend that Black Widow is super important and give her all these jokes and pretend she's more powerful.
When really she should be in the back making sandwiches for all the other real heroes. Easy, guys.
You hate Black Widow as much as I do. You're just
still,
Yeah, no, I do.
With
I
that
can
said,
stand that character.
I do kind of want to see how her relationship with the Hulk resolves in the next movie.
but that's like not even super
Yeah, like
fun.
does she have a
I
green
know.
baby?
It's not. But I'm saying like
Green baby,
as a
right. Find
I'm
love.
saying as a character, I like their relationship. I think
I
it's
do.
sweet.
I mean, it might have been.
Like,
I don't know. Maybe
but I mean, that's not the most feminist thing to say in the world, I'm sure. But I just,
it's fine.
I think
You're fine.
You like how she relates to a man. No, I get it.
It's fine.
I like love stories. Anyway,
I know.
I
You're silly
do.
sap.
I'm a
Well, I'm just saying, just imagine for a second if you were like a fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies only. You know, like you didn't watch Marvel movies, you heard these were good, you watched them, you're like, oh, I really like them. So then you see Infinity War, and you have to see Infinity War because, like, Nebula, Gamora, and Drax all have like stories that are like tied in
Yeah.
with Thanos. Now you have to watch Infinity War.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a letdown because their stories all get resolved in the middle of another story.
That's
You
a
know
good
what I
point.
mean?
That's a good
Yeah.
point, actually.
It's
for
something
Star Lord.
It's just
and for
something that,
Drax.
that kind of just sticks with me.
yeah.
Dan, you've been quiet on this subject. How do you feel? It's a hot button issue.
How I feel about which part?
That was
of it.
weird.
It's something
The
I have
deaths.
a lot.
The
deaths.
deaths.
Well, I mean, I talked about.
He said something.
Well, you said some things, but how do you feel on that? Are you shipping for Hulk and Black Widow? Like,
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with Black Widow because Scarlett Johansson's attractive. Aside from yeah, exactly.
And I'm the sex. I'm just kidding. You guys are fine.
There can be more than one sexist, okay?
That's right.
We've gotten away with having 5 of them, so.
I mean, I think a lot of the
I'm
things.
nice.
I think a lot of the things that we're complaining and nitpicking about is just coming down to the nature of this movie and what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much shit in it, like so much shit that's trying to
Pronounce
do
your T.
and pull off at once. But at one point, like, it's like, yeah, sure, the Guardians, like, they have their moment to shine, they have their fun stuff, but then they get split off, and like you said, like, it sucks that Peter Quill isn't going to be around to, like, be the main, like, levity with Tony Stark and Nebula. But a lot of this, like, this is speculation. Like, yes, we
True.
know that Tom Holland and all those other characters are going to come back. But at the same time, like, for more, like, the B-list characters and stuff, just because they got, snapped out of existence doesn't mean that they can't just make up some reason why they can't be brought back. Like,
That's true.
I mean, this is, like, theory crafting at this point. And honestly, I think and that's one of the things that devalues this movie, in my opinion, is the fact that there's going to be Avengers 4 after it. Because in a weird, kind of fucked up, I don't expect anyone else to share my opinion way, I kind of just wish that's the end. Like,
I absolutely share that opinion.
like, well, I mean,
No, I don't.
mass
understand
opinion.
Oh, yeah,
mass
yeah.
opinion here, yeah.
That. I don't understand that. No, I think it's.
Well, it's just kind of like, yeah.
Stories need to end.
Yeah,
This
but
is the 19th sequel.
no, he's saying if this halfway point was the end.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
That's weird.
With Thanos winning, like, it's one of those things.
That
like,
would be bold as fuck.
But what's the point of that
Yeah,
story?
You don't-
It's just weird.
it's no galaxy for old men.
Yeah. He knows how to get to
Yeah,
I
it's-
wanna
how do you feel about
puke.
that, Kyle? It's exactly like No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, with a big purple Josh Brolin.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
But, I mean, I just think, I think Infinity War 2 is going to be a bookend for this chapter. Like, yes, stories need to end, but this will be the end of some of these characters' stories.
Yeah.
And that's fine with me.
Well,
And then, the people who want more, just like the nature of comic books, the people who want more can continue on watching these movies. And the people who are fine and okay, I got the end, Infinity War 2, there's the end, I'm good.
Really,
You have a good point. Like you don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to
watch it.
see anything.
He's right. He is right. I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with what you said. I don't disagree with your statement, but
But here's why you're wrong.
people like you are why Disney will own everything.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
You're what's wrong with America.
the thing about this
I'm
movie,
what's wrong.
the thing about this movie is it is entirely the second act of a larger story. Because I mean, these are always divided into like 3 beats.
Mhm.
You have the setup where you're introducing everything, and then there's where all the action happens and shit goes crazy, and the third one will be a resolution.
It's the Empire. Strikes Back.
Actually, you know what? Like a lot of people have been comparing this movie to Empire Strikes Back, and while it's nowhere near as good of a movie as Empire,
Yeah.
with this, I can see the comparisons more than I do with a lot of other
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
Whereas, like this movie has a thematic darkness to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There, I can see the comparisons. It's nowhere near as good because Empire fucking rules.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
What
What
are you?
are you going to do?
I don't know. It's and like these movies, I don't know why I keep watching them. Like they're not my cup of tea, and everyone in this room knows that.
You
But
don't even like tea.
I do like tea. Just
Just not this cup.
not Marvel tea. Anyway, that wasn't a pun. That was just
I
a
was-
statement. You were looking for it. I can tell. There
So we
wasn't one there. But I was
we
like-
didn't mention that. Go on.
I was rewatching Iron Man today, the first one, for Dan's sake.
Good movie.
And no, I actually agree with Dan of like when that movie first came out. This is at least the third or fourth time I've watched Iron Man.
When you were in your junior year of high school.
Yeah, or it was in high school.
Oh, you graduated 2000.
9.
Yeah.
This
So-
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's
Whatever.
Anyway, like I agree. Where like I'm really into movies, really into comics. That movie came out, and I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it when it came out on DVD. I did not give a shit at all. Like I completely agree. I thought at the time like, oh, this is just such a paint by numbers movie where I'm like, I liked Robert Downey Jr. in it. I thought, oh, he's funny. And this is neat. He's a good actor. Sorry, Dan. But other than that, I was like, there's
No,
not
he's really
much-
good doing that one role he always does.
Yeah, there just wasn't much point to it beyond that. And so that's a movie that I've rewatched several times, and it just never sticks in my brain because it's just kind of generic movie. But then I was watching it today, and it was really weird seeing how like it's not a realistic movie, but it's so drastically scaled down compared to everything. Like, watching him like build like the suit and like he's like struggling to fly and stuff. And I was like, I cannot believe that this is the same universe because that shit just gets so much more ridiculous.
I mean, well, they said in every film after that, the world has changed.
Yeah.
It's weird that you enjoy that, but didn't enjoy Spider-Man: Homecoming more.
No, I
had like that same kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Well, what I mean by that is, it feels like it's trying to convince you that like this suit has been something constructed. That like he actually has to take the time to build it. It's impressive that it exists in this universe. I think by the time I got to Spider-Man: Homecoming, I'm just like so sick of like gadgets from anywhere all the time.
See, that was one of my bigger problems with that movie was that like the good thing about Peter Parker is that he didn't have all the like Iron Man bullshit, that he built the like web shooters himself, and that he was like self-reliant and stuff, and he was just a kid that ended up in this world of like, you know, Tony Stark and Wilson Fisk and all these people that were like super rich and had like fucking robots and shit that could like fight for them and whatever. That was cool about Spider-Man, and when they added that to the suit, I was like, dude, fuck this. Like, I'm not cool with this. But then it grew on me after a while.
It worked for the story, because, I mean, that was the whole story arc, was like he had that and then he lost it and he had to learn to stand on it.
Exactly.
So there was a reason for it.
So, something else we haven't brought up, but I think some of you will. Hulk was really bad in this movie. Hulk, which is weird since it's a strange thing where like I recently saw Avengers 1 again.
Oh yeah.
That movie's not aged super well. Everyone looks ridiculous. Like it's like a weird Power Rangers movie.
Captain America looks real bad.
Really weird. I saw a still from it.
But also
it's so weird. And it's so vibrant.
The one character, the character that like actually looks the most put together is the Hulk in that movie. And he's actually, that's the movie that made me enjoy the Hulk as a character.
Same, I used to hate the Hulk.
And he was just really cool in that. Even though he didn't have like a crazy, I mean, he had a lot. But Black Widow looks ridiculous in that movie. But now, characters look a lot less ridiculous. But Hulk was just kind of a bummer in this movie. You're just kind of like, it's like he had like a weird erectile dysfunction, but for the Hulk.
He couldn't get it up for the Hulk.
He couldn't get it up.
He couldn't get it up.
The Hulk got fucking bitch slapped around.
He lost the fight and then he lost his
and then
mojo.
he was like, "No, I'm a pussy now. I can't come out."
Great Hulk impression, almost as good as your Falcon.
Right.
You are a talented man.
But I think to me, the fact that you can take it, they took a character that's like who was originally so good, like the Hulk, and now he's just like kind of a bummer. It kind of highlights the fact that it is just too many characters. Like the ambition is cool, but maybe not for this medium. Maybe not for 2 hours. So I'm thinking about it like maybe the problem is that they didn't kill off more characters sooner. So there's this thing like, oh well, we have to like use everyone. We have to like complete everyone's story arc. It's like, yeah, but maybe some of these story arcs could have ended earlier. Maybe some people could have died in Civil War. Maybe some people could have died in Iron Man 3 or in Spider-Man: Homecoming. Like maybe we don't need all of these characters to be alive and to all resolve in this movie. Maybe they can resolve gradually.
I hear what you're saying, and I think
or dissolve gradually.
You mean the one I explained before you could?
Sure, yeah.
No, I didn't get it.
No, I get what you're saying there, Yesen, and that's kind of like one of the big gripes I've had with these movies, is how they've just not wanted to kill off anyone ever, or just not anyone that matters or is important. Even in Civil War with War Machine, like getting shot down, it would have been...
He should have died.
He should have died.
It would have been poignant and made sense in the context of the story and given the characters more motivation.
It also would have been super interesting because Cap is spending all this time defending his friend, and then Iron Man's friend would die, and that would like more make the ending.
I think part of why they didn't do that is because then like it would just be way too easy for everyone to side with Iron Man on
True.
That,
well, I guess so, but like that's the thing.
They should have written Bucky better.
Yeah, because like the thing is, while it's not super easy to side with Iron Man like quote unquote politically in that movie. He's still like a character that has like a more emotional struggle and like loses a lot more in that movie. And I think that
in that movie, Cap is clearly right, but we don't like him.
But he's exactly
He's obnoxious.
He's clearly right, but he's such a joke.
And Iron Man is clearly just wrong and upset, but we want him to win because he's upset and we feel bad for him.
And because Dan loves Robert Downey Jr.
But no, what you're saying again about like the character deaths, that's just an inherent flaw in just the Marvel Universe itself. Like before seeing Infinity Wars, I went back and rewatched Dark Knight, and might have been a bit of a mistake because it's like that reminded me of what I liked so much about comic book movies before like the MCU really was just this blaze of money and popularity.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of that actually ties into with what I enjoy about Infinity War. Like I didn't love the movie, has a shitload of flaws, but I can't help but really respect them for going that far and, pushing it in a Marvel film. Like, you wouldn't expect the villain to win. You wouldn't expect all these deaths. Even though, he's going to lose in the next one and they're going to get brought back, they still went that way. And they did it. And they did it a way where he won. It's not even the Empire thing where they look out wistfully into the horizon and it's hopeful. It ends on, a somber but hopeful. No, this one, it's like, nah, half everyone's dead and I'm sitting on my farm.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Have a good summer, bitch.
Yeah.
Like the last superhero you see is like that cheesy shot of them all sitting with their heads down, and Cap is like, "Oh my god!" And then it's just Josh Brolin like smiling and popping open a beer, and he's like, "Did it?"
Like, dude, I'm a hell of a farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would not have expected them to do that or have been able to do that given how safe the other Marvel films have played it probably before the last 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I will absolutely give this movie props for that I really enjoyed about it.
But of course, after credit sequence calling Brie Larson Captain Marvel. So it's still like
I'll call her anything she wants to be called.
You and me both.
That's Wayne.
What's up, guys?
Wayne Cat Colored Parmer over here. Anyway, no, I agree with what you're saying, Dan. Like Marvel, it's a real pain in the balls where it's like for the most part, they're not my cup of tea, and I get really annoyed where it's like I'll go see Age of Ultron in theaters and I'll just be pissed off the whole time.
You're stuck with that you didn't want.
Yeah, it's like abortions for everyone. No, it's just you're like sitting there and you're like all these nerds are crammed into a theater and they're like reacting obnoxiously and you get really mad and they cry when Quicksilver's dead and I'm like, you didn't care. He has 3 lines in this movie. You met him 90 minutes ago. It gets annoying with how much Marvel just gets away with things and then that makes me resent them where I'm like, yeah, they've taken superhero movies and they've turned them into big wacky jokes with obnoxious eye-rolling horrible CGI action sequences that have to get bigger and bigger and bigger as the movies go on. And that pisses me off. But I have to admit, they found a formula, they made it work, and they've made sure that it's worked for the past 10 years. And this movie was really ambitious. For better or worse, it brings together all their properties, ends with the bad guy winning and half the heroes dying.
And it's not a giant clusterfuck.
It's not a giant clusterfuck.
No Justice League.
There are only because the movie is so split up, there are portions of it to me that remind me I'm in a fucking 3-hour movie. But there are parts of it where I'm like, oh, this is breezing by and these characters are a lot of fun. There's a lot of really great jokes in the movie.
I've been here for an hour.
Yeah, it's like my favorite bit. Just like Drax just talking about how he's been there for an hour.
Fucking hilarious.
Or Mantis
that was great.
Taking names or kicking names and taking ass.
Yeah, hilarious.
And then RDJ's reaction to that, so goddamn funny.
Sure.
You have your opinion and I'm going to tell you why you're wrong.
Sure, but at the end of the day, it's impressive compared to our expectations, but
it's also depressing that this is the biggest movie in the world.
Right. I mean, it's just a big clusterfuck of all these characters. It's not skillful filmmaking. Just they've thrown so much money.
I would disagree with that.
Okay, yeah. No, okay.
It's
the big clusterfuck of a movie was Justice League.
No, that's not what I mean.
This movie was craftily
that's not.
made.
No, some of the stories are very good, and some of them are just Like, could you imagine
No, as a
this
whole,
movie?
though, we're judging this on a whole, not just.
But that's the thing, is it's not the Gestalt. It's not that. Like, there are stories where you remember, like, oh, I really enjoyed watching this story, and then there are stories where you're just getting through it. For me, anyway. Like, for whenever I would get Cap and Black Widow and the Vision and Scarlet Witch, I'm just getting through all of that, and even the Wakanda stuff. Like, I hate to say it, but like the Wakanda stuff is lame. It's just like, oh, we're just getting through Wakanda, which is not something I expected to say after how much I enjoyed Black Panther. Just like Wakanda is just something that we're just like throwing in there for a big fucking fight with Goat Lady and the Goblin and the Hulk and Squidward.
It's almost like a big,
Hulk was not there.
Nope.
he was in the trailer though.
Yeah. God, I fucked the shit out of
You
it.
know,
That's from the second
evil
movie.
Goblin Ghoul, the Gabagool,
Yeah.
like all, and then at the beginning of the movie where you have like Doctor Strange meeting Iron Man and they're saying douchebag and there's that
I actually liked the build-up in that
Asian
sequence.
sidekick. Maybe for that 1 second where they're going out of
When
the
they step
sanctum.
out, like, yeah. I thought that
But
was-
other than that, it's goofy and it just all the dialogue is way too utilitarian and it just feels like, oh my god, this is what we've gotten. This is what this is.
See,
It's
some
like
of
a
that-
big. It's like this monster is coming and we have to use these powers and these powers and these powers. And we're gonna fight these guys with these powers with these powers. It's just too.
This movie was not
understand
made
that
for you yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
You
it
are
sounds
not
like
the
you wanted to
target
see
audience.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Thor Ragnarok 2 is what you wanted to see.
Also,
Yes.
your reenactments
way,
of the
yes.
movie are not as nuanced as Zane's.
But you're saying like the dialogue is very utilitarian. But again, as the comic book nerd here, like that's how comic book writing works. So I feel like the
It's a
dialogue.
movie.
Yeah, but it's a comic book movie about comic book characters.
Why don't you two just kiss already? Alright?
Get out.
And the like,
No, I wanna watch.
That's what the Marvel movies
Get out with a
are
better movie.
taking the comic books and successfully putting them on the big screen. And I mean, that's a byproduct of that is you're going to have utilitarian
That's something, I guess.
dialogue.
But
It
the
works
Dark
in
the Dark
comics.
Knight did it years ago.
Yeah, but that was a very, very different kind of story that they were
Yeah,
And it's a
for
better
sure.
kind of story.
It is, but it is also a very clearly defined beginning, middle, and end three-part
Exactly, yeah.
story. This, you have to look at it subjectively for what they're trying to accomplish and what
Yeah.
they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I will agree. I don't give a fuck about most Marvel movies. They're not for me.
Mhm.
I can't, like, at best, they're like fucking condoms. You put it on, have some fun, and then just throw it away because fuck this shit. I don't care.
I don't know.
Your
like-
analogies have been amazing.
Yeah, Marvel movies are used condoms. That's,
Yes.
that's a pretty. That's
Marvel
pretty
That's
honest.
the
like
quote.
the-
That's the quote of the episode. Right
Anyway,
there.
yeah, I guess to me it's starting to have like a weird like. It's like, what if we tried to do Game of Thrones as a movie? You know, it's like kind of like.
I don't think that everyone compares shit to Game of Thrones nearly as much as you do.
Well, no, I don't expect anyone to. Although Thor did wield Lightbringer, and Thanos is Stannis Baratheon.
Oh,
So that was
God.
cool.
And it had the dinkles. So
Oh man, I
Anyway.
hate everything.
um,
Anyway,
Do we have to recommend?
No, because they
No.
fucking see it anyways.
Yeah.
and it's
Everyone's
made
seen
over
it.
$1 billion.
they're more popular than us.
For now.
So just
Yeah.
parting thoughts on the movie, maybe.
Yeah,
what was your favorite part? Let's end on a high.
Hey, there we go.
I don't believe in that. Go
Let's end
on.
on a high.
favorite part, honestly, like probably like everything with Thor and the Guardians. I thought was like I liked the part when they're on Nowhere.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool, and like when Thor's in the Guardians ship.
yeah.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
There was two brief ones. One was kind of just like a, I don't want to say throwaway moment, but I really like the part where Cap actually stops Thanos' fist, because it seemed like the one point in the movie where Cap is actually important and
Mm-hmm.
does something, and then, he gets slugged by his other hand, because Thanos remembers he has two of those. But my actual favorite part of the movie is probably when Tony and the Guardians and Cap, all those guys are teaming up and taking down Thanos, and they actually get to the point where they're gonna win, but Peter Quill at the last second
He's a big
things
whiny
up.
baby.
That was one of those like very like fan servicey like payday moments where it's like, this is what it's all building towards, this is what could have been, and I'm not the one who would expect to like this the most, but I really enjoyed that scene for how much they pushed it and what they were able to do without it feeling
That was-
too overbloated and bombed.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta say that actually, like it annoys me when Peter Quill like fucks it all up because like that's coming. But that fight after the second rewatch, it's actually a pretty cool fight.
Yeah.
And like I like even like the little jokes that come by in, like I like
Spider-Man?
Yeah, like Spider-Man like zapping by and like magic kick, and I like Peter Quill puts that bomb on his back and then like gives him the bird and like jumps through a portal, and then Thanos just like sends those meteors down and like
Oh, dude.
Iron Man's like, if you throw another moon at me, I'm gonna lose it. I'm like, this was fun.
That's what I feel like the whole experience is like distilled down to in one scene. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
Getting to those kind of scenes and those big moments, and it lands them.
Throwing a
lands
moon
them
at people.
more
And
often than
for the record, he hasn't like. I definitely see what you're saying with like a lot of the dialogue and stuff, but give this movie a little more of a pass on that, just because of
It's
how
not
much
trying
they're
to-
balancing. I was more upset with how dumb some people's plans were.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some
Yeah.
good things.
Your
My favorite parts, I mean, I liked the opening scene. I liked the fight that you guys were talking about. And my favorite part of all was probably Tom Holland. I really liked his performance as Spider-Man in this. And I'm not a big Spider-Man fan, but he's...
But now you're thinking about buying some new PJs.
Oh, yeah.
dude, some new underwear. More
Oh,
like it.
yeah. Some underoos. Hell yeah.
Why is that a more specific distinction?
Because I don't wear pajamas.
Because I want to braid on my balls. Zane, what was your favorite part of Infinity War?
The part where I bought Spider-Man underwear. Damn, I don't. I liked a lot of it. I don't know. Definitely, we talked about it already, but the Drax thing where.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. I mean, easily the funniest part of the movie
Yes.
where he was standing there watching Gamora and Peter. Like, that was fucking hilarious. And I guess, I don't know, maybe that was my favorite part of the movie. I did like that fight, though, a lot. Like the one that you were talking about.
I like that whole group. It doesn't make any sense why any of those characters are there
Yeah.
at fucking all.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Nebula just called them and told them to come to Titan because she needed a ride.
Yeah.
Because that was a stupid plan. But I like all that interaction. Like,
no, it was fun.
when they're like, "Who's your master?" and he's like, "What am I supposed to say, Jesus?" And
Yeah.
they're like, "Wait, are you from Earth?" And he's like, "No, I'm from Missouri." And they're like, "That's on Earth, idiot." Like, it was all good.
Yeah, it's real good. Real good.
Yezin, big Yaz.
Oh boy.
Fave parts. Movie.
I mean, I like Drax. I like the Guardians and Thor, and I like Thor's story.
Story.
His authority.
Thor's story too.
I really enjoy the fact that people call it Infinity War and not Avengers 3. I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
Like random ass people on Facebook, like, did you see Infinity War? It's just
That's a small thing that I actually really agree with you on.
it's a really funny title. And yeah, that I think I've said all along.
Facebook are your favorite part of this movie.
I think I've said the things that I like about it.
Yeah.
I
I just wanted to go out on a high note because there at the end we were kind of getting.
It's fine. You guys all feel too
No, this
bad
is
when
just
we
like
shit on
another.
movies.
It's like a Marvel
no,
movie.
I don't
We
feel
gotta
that.
pick it up.
No.
It's on its.
This is a.
picked itself
We
up,
should
it's so
mimic
fine.
Infinity War and end on a really downer note, just like the movie did.
Oh, God!
This might actually end on a Civil War note if this keeps up, guys.
This
Yes.
is the best time to tell you. Then I have chlamydia.
And now, so do you. Anyway.
I thought that would be a downer, but it's more fun.
No,
than
that's
it is.
actually really funny.
Yeah. I really don't have chlamydia, guys.
Yeah.
I did that for
It's funny
dramatic
that we all
effect.
have
We're cutting it before.
I'm gonna cut out the part where you said
None of us were actually surprised.
Well,
Captain America doesn't care about black people.
WolfPunch.